It's currently day 25 of the 100-day Russian challenge, and I was just thinking about some things that I sometimes do in conjunction with learning a language, or in conjunction with learning any new skill. And that's this idea and that is combining it with other activities and other things that you want to learn, maybe other skills you want to learn. Let me give you a few examples. So, for example, say, like many people, maybe you're like me, you're not in the best shape that you could be in. Maybe you've got weight to lose, or you're weak and you want to build up your strength, or a combination of thereof. So, why not, while intensively learning Russian, why not, take steps to get in shape? And when I say take steps, why not do that literally? Just take a walk. That's one thing I've been doing religiously during this challenge is I start every day with a walk of about 1 hour. In fact, I'm planning to increase that. Just because, I need to get in better shape. I've let myself go. I've got some weight to lose. Would like to get stronger too. So, one easy way just to get some exercise in, burn some calories, do something, do some actual physical activity, is to just get out and take a walk. And you can gradually increase the amount of time you walk and the distance you walk. So, I like to do it first thing, for example, and I do that, and while I'm walking, I listen to sentences and repeat them out loud while I'm walking. Great way to combine learning Russian with a bit of exercise. Another thing you could do is say you also want to learn some other skill. Perhaps you want to learn, to draw, or you want to learn guitar, to play guitar, or you want to, get better at cooking, or who knows what. Well, you could combine that with learning Russian to some extent. For example, if you're learning to cook, you could watch Russian language cooking channels. Learn to make dishes from Russia or from Russian-speaking countries. There's plenty of Russian language cooking channels on YouTube. Absolutely. For example, if you're learning guitar, you can learn about the names of the parts of the guitar, or musical terminology in Russian. Or you could look for guitar methods or guitar tutorials on YouTube in Russian, that kind of thing. That could go with any interest. In fact, if you're like me, it's very easy to just spend all your time on YouTube because there's so many interesting things to watch. Well, watch interesting things in Russian, for example. Why not? It's a good way to combine learning Russian with learning something else. I went through a period for a while where I was into photography, for example. I'm not really into it now, but if I still were, I would absolutely look for photography channels on YouTube in Russian. Returning to what I was saying a minute ago about fitness or getting in better shape, you could, of course, also create a second challenge. You could say at the same time as you're running your 100-day Russian challenge, you could do a 100-day fitness challenge or 100-day weight loss challenge at the same time. Why not? Might do that myself, in fact. Something to think about. Another interesting thing, which I do from time to time, why not play dirty psychological games on yourself? For example, imagine that in 100 days you are going to be sent in, behind the Iron Curtain. It's 1970, the Cold War is in full swing. You're going to be sent behind the Iron Curtain, and you have to absolutely be a competent Russian speaker by the time you get there. Any misstep will be looked on with suspicion, and you might be expelled from the country or worse. So you would do everything in your power to get as good as possible at speaking Russian before you were dropped behind the Iron Curtain. That would be one kind of silly psychological game you could play with yourself. Imagine, for example, that you've been offered the job of a lifetime. It's exactly what you've always wanted. Something you're good at, something you're passionate about. But there's just one catch. It's in Russia. And you'll be working and living in Russia. And you have to speak Russian at the office with your colleagues, with your boss. You have to direct team members in Russian competently and proficiently. And yeah, you might be thinking, well, why would anybody hire me if I don't speak Russian? But maybe you told a little fib on your CV, on your resume, and you said that you had a decent working knowledge of Russian. Now, I'm not saying you should lie on your CV, but people have been known to do it. So, they've offered you the job. You're going to start in 100 days. And what are you going to do? When you get there, you have to be able to perform. Obviously, you can do what you're hired for, but you have to be able to do it in Russian. Better get to work. Something else, which I've talked about in other videos, is that you must make the most efficient use of your time possible. So, what do I mean by this? Well, basically it comes down to learning the most used vocabulary and the most used grammar structures and drilling those endlessly over and over and over, from Russian to English, and then even better and harder from English to Russian. So, learn the top 1,000 words, the most frequent 1,000 words in Russian, then the most frequent 2,000, most frequent 5,000. Go through your textbooks religiously to get exposure to loads and loads of grammatical patterns. If it's a good textbook, and I've mentioned several in previous videos, they will take you through all the grammatical structures you need to know. Not just one textbook, you're going through multiple textbooks. One which I highly recommend is called Russian in Exercises by Havronina. I found various versions of it online. I've also got a version she wrote for French learners. That's my main textbook, in fact, which comes with audio. Doesn't really matter if you speak French or not. The important thing is it comes with audio for all the exercises, and it takes you gradually through all the cases, all the adjectives, all the adjective endings, all the noun endings, all the verb conjugations, all the things you're going to need to know, all the standard grammatical structures that you'll hear over and over. You must work your way through them. Be efficient and be effective. And when it comes to being efficient and effective, that means you must also avoid wasting time on apps such as, you know what I'm going to say, such as Duolingo. Stay away from that. Now, it is possible to get use out of Duolingo, but you have to know what you're doing. And if you just follow it like an ordinary person, going through it, playing the game, trying to get gems or whatever it is you do, moving up to new levels or new leagues or something, it's literally just a video game. You will learn nothing. So don't even bother with it. Be serious. If you're serious about learning Russian, then be serious. Be effective, be efficient. Don't get good at the Duolingo game. That's not going to serve you. Another idea is to tidy up your life. What do I mean by that? Well, I mention this because I've got some things in my personal life that aren't quite tidy right now. There's some things I need to take care of. There's business I need to take care of. And while you're taking care of learning Russian, which is very important to you, especially if you're on this 100-day challenge along with me, why not take care of other things in your life that you've been slacking on? If you're taking care of business with Russian, take care of business in other areas of your life. You know, if you've got relationships that you need to put more work into, put your work into those. If you're letting your work slide, letting your business slide, get on top of it. Determine where you want to go with it. Take care of business. That's one thing I've been struggling with this year. I'm not going to lie. And I still am, but I'm working on it. It's kind of a bit like how I was mentioning getting physically fit earlier. Get mentally fit, get fit in your business, get fit in your life, get fit in your personal life, get fit in your Russian learning. It all comes down, they're all related, they're all interrelated, let's put it that way. And when it comes to learning effectively and efficiently, use the tools at your disposal. For example, with vocabulary. Yes, learn vocabulary in context, in sentences, but also at the same time, make an effort to use mnemonic associations to learn vocabulary. I've already made a video about that. I'm no expert at it, believe me. I'm very mediocre at it, in fact, but it does help. Do what you can. Practice doing that, because if you can make strong mnemonic associations, that will help you remember the vocabulary in the sentences. That way, when you hear the sentences again, because you listen to them over and over, remember, the vocabulary you've learned by means of mnemonics will stick out to you. They'll pop out and you'll remember them. And then the sentence will make full sense, and it will cement that knowledge. It will embed it deeper. And every time you hear it, every time you produce it, it will embed it deeper. So do what you can. Use every tool at your disposal. Use reading. If you're in the 100-day challenge, learning to read Russian is non-negotiable. The Russian alphabet is easy to learn. A couple hours you can do it. You then start practicing reading words. Yes, it takes time. Just because you can read the alphabet or a few simple words, that's quite different from reading whole sentences. But you start with a few words, you start with very short, simple sentences, and you slowly expand those sentences, which you'll be doing anyway because you're learning sentences. So, as a reminder about learning the sentences, first listen to the sentence in Russian, don't read it, don't hear the English. Listen to it a few times in Russian, just get your brain ready for it. You won't understand all of it probably. In fact, you may hardly understand any of it, but listen to a group of sentences several times. 3, 4, 5 times. Then listen to the sentences with the English translation, if you have it, or listen to the sentences while reading the Russian. Then listen to the sentences while looking at the English translation or listening to the English translation. So you're going to be hearing these sentences a lot, and you're going to be drilling all that vocabulary and those sentence structures, those grammatical structures. But do what you can to accelerate the process, and that includes making use of mnemonic associations.